Welcome to the Puck and Pigskin Podcast, presented by Belly Up Sports. Just great sports fans talking mostly about hockey and football, sprinkled with a bit of everything else. Now, here's your host, a Flames fan with a Golden Knights backup plan, Jason Bizik.
All right, joining me now is Kaleb McChesney, host of the MC Hour podcast. Kaleb, welcome to Puck and Pigskin. How you doing?
We're doing all right. Thanks for having me. I know it's been a long time coming here. So,
yeah, for those who don't know or don't follow Belly Up Sports and all the podcasts and whatnot, Kaleb and I believe, started right around the same time. It may even be the same day.
I was probably a day after you. Yeah.
Yeah, writing for Belly Up before I joined the podcast network. Anyway, you may have already been on it. I'm not sure.
I'm not on the podcast network.
Oh, you're not on the podcast network. Oh,
no,
you're missing out, dude. No,
I'm self-made, self-promoted. So
self-made, self-promoted. He does it all.
Yeah.
So let's talk some NFL news. The draft, of course, was just this past week.
You're right.
Did you tune into the draft at all?
I watched the entirety of the first round, and then the second and third round I kept up on Twitter. Saturday I had gotten my COVID shot, so my second.
And how did that go?
I'm fully good now. I'm allowed in places now, so that's fun.
Not growing any appendages anywhere you're not supposed to be.
Nope, and no, the Bill Gates microchip hasn't gotten to me yet. So
nice. What about the Elon Musk one?
I haven't felt that one yet. I hadn't heard about that one, but yeah, no, I'm good. But yeah, I kept up on Twitter, and because I have a Foxborough beat, I had to keep up on Twitter, get all the pics posted and whatnot, or directing my team of like 2 people to help me out there. So.
Yeah, that NFL draft drags out a long time. I was actually shocked. I've been a small NFL fan in the past, and I'm just getting back into it. So yep. I didn't realize that it was almost a week-long process.
I'll tell you what. Judging by that hat you're wearing right now, your team doesn't usually fare well in the NFL draft.
Just wait till we get Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the rumors swirling around.
Yep, on draft night, like the first night, it was he was going to go to Denver, and that was like a whole set deal. And then they say, oh well, they haven't talked, or 300 different rumors come out, and then it didn't happen. But yeah Rodgers is very upset at Green Bay, and I can't blame him.
Yeah, I don't understand the whole controversy myself, because I mean, typically all teams draft their starters replacement, do they not? I mean, where else would the starters come from? Come from, right?
But the thing was, they traded up for a quarterback they didn't need because Aaron Rodgers was still performing at an MVP level. Yeah, Rodgers he's been a consistent MVP level quarterback for years now, and the Packers just weren't winning because they didn't do well in the draft. They haven't drafted an offensive player in the 12 years that he's been starting, and they hadn't, and then they drafted one in the last 12 years, and that was the quarterback Jordan Love that they traded up for that they didn't really need. Like, they haven't drafted a first round receiver for Rodgers in a while. I think the highest they've gone is second round, and that was Devontae Adams in 2014. But obviously Aaron Rodgers is not pleased with the Packers organization. He's been toyed around for years now, and I can't help but feel for him, and I hope he gets out of Green Bay and keeps playing, because he's a fantastic player. But everything from what I'm seeing, he's just going to go host Jeopardy after this. So.
So now, if you're in the Packers position, are you trading Rodgers, or are you keeping him around because he's still an MVP quarterback?
Well, here's the thing. You're kind of in the situation like Deshaun Watson was with the Texans before his whole off the field problems came out. Rodgers, he's just not going to play for you unless you fix up what he wants, and what he wants is to fire the GM, Brad Gutekunst, or whatever his name is, Brad or Brian, I don't remember. But it's almost like if I were the Packers, I would have been appeasing Rodgers already. I would have been trying to make the situation better for him, but obviously they've screwed it up so bad that he's just pissed off. And they've been toying with him for years. Like, oh, let me just trade up for Jordan Love, a quarterback we don't need, just to piss off Aaron Rodgers. And sure, it got you an MVP, and it got you to the NFC Championship, where obviously they fell to the Tom Brady-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Still a soft spot. But, yeah, I don't think that – I think both these sides aren't going to budge because I don't think the Packers are going to fire the general manager. It's weird. Packers are weird because they don't have an owner. Because I feel like I don't know how it works with Green Bay, but it's different. They don't have a single owner. They have like this whole board. It's almost like the town owns the Packers because Green Bay is so small.
So they're community owned.
Sort of something like that, yeah. And I could be butchering that entirely, but they don't have a single owner. That I do know. Or an
ownership group or something like that, yeah.
Right. It's by the town of Green Bay or whatever. But yeah, I think Rodgers is out. And the Packers need to trade him, and I don't think they're going to do it. So I think you're going to see Rodgers kind of dig his heels in a little bit and just retire. And like Rodgers has never been like one to. He's not like Tom Brady. He doesn't live and breathe and die football. Rodgers is very lavish outside of football. He likes doing other things, and obviously Jeopardy was one. And I think
he's got Jeopardy.
I think Jeopardy would hire him in an instant. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens as we head into the early stages of mini camp and OTAs. But I wouldn't be shocked if you don't see Rodgers in a Packers uniform this year.
Yeah. So since you followed the draft, which team do you feel won the draft?
I had two teams that won the NFL draft. The Jets were one, and I hate saying it. Okay. I hate saying it with every fiber in my being. Yeah. They had an excellent draft. They had Zach Wilson in the first round, AVT in the first round, Elijah Vera Tucker, who they traded up for, wide receiver Elijah Moore from Ole Miss, and Michael Carter, the running back from North Carolina State. No, it's North Carolina. Yeah. Obviously, I wasn't the biggest Wilson guy. I would have preferred Fields in that spot. But they've surrounded Wilson with a ton of weapons in those first three rounds. Elijah Vera Tucker is going to be an excellent offensive lineman wherever they decide to put him. Elijah Moore was one of my favorite wide receivers in this class. Was kind of hoping the Patriots would go get him. And then Michael Carter is a dynamic running back. Zach Wilson already has more weapons and attention and protection and just all the things rookie quarterbacks need. He already has more than Sam Darnold did in his entire career in New York. And they have an excellent coach, Robert Saleh. They have an excellent coordinator in Mike LaFleur, Matt LaFleur's brother, who's going to run the offense. Wilson, he's not set up to fail like Darnold was with Adam Gase. And then my second team was the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears traded up for Justin Fields, leapfrogging the Patriots and the Vikings.
Yep.
And then they drafted Tevin Jenkins in the second round there. And I feel like those top two alone, because Tevin Jenkins was projected a first round talent before he had slipped to the second round. They're going to be excellent. Justin Fields, I think, could start week one, despite what you hear about Andy Dalton being named the starter for the Bears at this point. And I think for once the Bears didn't trade up for the wrong guy like they did with Mitchell Trubisky, traded up one spot and gave up all that capital. And then wide receiver Allen Robinson might think twice before he continues with his trade demands to get out of Chicago, because now he might actually have a chance with this dynamic quarterback. I feel like he was the second best quarterback in this class and the best, just raw arm talent in this class. I think he has a better, more talented arm than Trevor Lawrence, but some of the other things he's lacking in. I have no idea why Justin Fields wasn't the second best quarterback in this class. I don't know where Zach Wilson came from. And I don't know where the slander I heard about Justin Fields just coming into this draft about how he's not a hard worker and all this, when it was literally him that made the whole Big Ten conference play football last year. I don't see where the work ethic questions come in. And he's not a one-read quarterback like you read about. Justin Fields is going to be amazing in Chicago as long as, he gets the right development. Matt Nagy doesn't screw him up. But, yeah, Chicago's kind of in an interesting spot here. They finally have a quarterback that they can maybe rely on. He's already the Bears fans have been waiting for a franchise quarterback since Jay Cutler. So they finally get somebody.
Yeah. So is there any specific player that you feel won the draft here, been being put in a position that maybe may benefit him at all?
There's two of them, actually. Trey Lance was definitely one. He's going to go to San Francisco, back up Jimmy Garoppolo. I feel like there was no better. There's another place that he could have gone that would have been beneficial for him, and that was New England, because he could sit behind Cam Newton, and they're very similar. But Trey Lance is going to sit behind Jimmy G and get ready to go. He's going to sit behind one of the, it's known around the NFL. If you ask coaches who's the smartest offensive coaches in the league, people are going to tell you Kyle Shanahan. And I feel like he's going to be really productive in that offense. And, he has all the surroundings in the world: George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. There's definitely a receiver I'm missing. A core of running backs that are fantastic. They just drafted Trey Sermon, who I thought was a pretty good sleeper coming into this draft after having a big college football playoff last year with Ohio State. And then my other one is Mac Jones. For the Patriots. I don't think that there was a better spot that he could have fallen to. He does exactly what the Patriots need him to do. He's a tall, pocket passing quarterback. Patriots fans will love him. As much it makes sense why they would. He's like an exact opposite of Cam Newton, who I think gets a little too much disrespect in the Patriots community, and I think we all know the reason why. But yeah, I feel like those were the two players who ended up really well, and I don't think either of them start year one.
No,
I think Cam Newton is the Patriots quarterback this year. And Mac Jones's only job this year is going to be take notes and get Jarrett Stidham off the roster because, God, he's awful. And then Trey Lance will sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo for a year so long as he doesn't get hurt. And I think even if Garoppolo gets hurt again, Josh Rosen will probably start before Trey Lance does, just because Lance isn't ready. They don't want to ruin that yet.
So do you think there was any surprises in this ye's draft in your eyes?
Well, I know for one, the Raiders tend to surprise me with whatever they do in the first round.
Yeah, I actually have the Raiders picks up here, and once again, I'm not a huge NFL fan, nor do I pay attention to many prospects. So, I mean, round one, Alex Leatherwood, offensive lineman.
He was a projected day two guy.
Okay, round two, safety Trayvon Moring.
He could have been a first round talent, but he slipped because of some back injury. That's a good pickup for you guys. I don't think the back injury will be a problem for him.
Yeah, then round three we got Malcolm Kuntz.
Yeah, no, but none of us.
If I'm saying that right.
Yeah, you're saying it right. I'll tell you, my team, when we were calling it during the day two of the draft, we were scratching our heads. We didn't know who that was. We don't know every prospect, but that's a small school guy from Buffalo. We didn't know, but none of us knew who he was. And then you drafted like two more safeties, didn't you?
I believe you were right. Next pick was a defensive back, Divine Diablo.
One of the best names in the draft. Yep.
Yeah, no kidding. Round 4 was another safety, Tyree Gillespie.
Yeah, you guys went all in the secondary, and the Raiders.
Yeah,
they have an interesting draft philosophy, and I think this is more John Gruden than it is Mike Mayock. I think John Gruden just sees players he likes, and then he drafts them, no matter the position or how many of the position they have. I think he just likes drafting his players, which can help and hurt. But the Raiders, they tend to do some crazy things in the draft, selecting players that you didn't even know could have been taken that high, like Leatherwood, who was a projected day 2 talent. You probably could have traded back and got him at like pick 32. or whatever the case might. Yeah, so the Raiders obviously shocked me. They tend to shock me every year. But my probably biggest surprise was the Jets trading up in the first round for AVT wasn't shocking, but the Vikings trading down to 23 and still getting Christian Darrisaw was shocking to me. Christian Darrisaw was probably the third best tackle in this class. And I understand why the Jets went and got AVT for that versatility. But I'm just shocked that the Vikings got their guy at 23, 9 picks later. The Vikings had an excellent draft this year. And then another one. Go ahead.
Who did they trade down for? Why would the team trade down like that?
Just because it's in that situation where if you feel like you can get a guy 9 picks later, or you can get somebody of that talent 9 picks later, you'll do it. You'll collect the extra draft capital, which is exactly what the Vikings did. And the Jets moved up to get their guy Elijah Vera-Tucker, who's going to play across the offensive line for the Jets. And then Darrisaw, obviously falling down to 23 was it might have been 26, 23 or 26, wherever the Jets picked. It was just, I was shocked that he lasted that long. And I'm kind of impressed that the Vikings got their guy. And I was also a little interested to hear that they would have been in on Justin Fields. Was he there at 14?
Yeah.
But obviously the Bears picked him up there.
Yeah, so you touched on it a bit earlier, but were you happy with the Patriots picks?
I was, yeah. I'm extremely happy with the Patriots haul. And this is a weird thing to say because I haven't been happy with the Patriots draft class in years. They get their future heir to the throne in Mac McCorkle-Jones in round 1 without having to trade up, which is amazing. And they addressed massive holes on defense with firepower and Christian Barmore, defensive lineman from Alabama, who they traded up to get. And then Ronnie Perkins, the edge from Oklahoma, who somehow fell all the way to the 3rd round. He's probably one of the more explosive pass rushers in this class. And then obviously the mid rounds are always a little weird. I didn't understand the Ramondre Stevenson pick, also from Oklahoma. He's this big build back who can't catch. I don't know if you were into football in the early 2010s, but we have this running back named Garrett Blunt. He kind of plays like him. He's supposed to be this big tank that just runs over people. And then just trying to think of the other picks we had. Joshua Bledsoe, the safety, I thought was a weird pick because we already have a safety that plays like him. His name is Kyle Duggar, who we drafted to replace Patrick Chung. We drafted an offensive lineman from Colorado. We drafted a wide receiver, Trey Nixon, from UCF, which I thought was weird because, why would we wait that long? I feel like wide receiver is one of our more pressing needs on the roster. But overall, I think I graded the draft a B in my article that I wrote. Gave it a solid B. The Patriots have a solid foundation for the future, and I think this draft shows how much Belichick listened to everybody else for once, instead of just drafting his guy and then them busting like N'Keal Harry did.
So, what do you think of the Edelman retirement?
We've been hearing it all. Go ahead.
Do you think that he's gonna come back in Tampa Bay?
No, his knee's done. His knee's shot.
Yeah.
He's been telling us over and over again, Foxborough forever. I'm not going anywhere. My knee is cooked. I can't run anymore. Mm-hmm. It's a similar situation to Dustin Pedroia at the end of his career. He just couldn't run anymore after he got spiked by Manny Machado, which, I'm still bitter about. But yeah, Edelman retiring doesn't come as a shock. He had missed basically all of last year with a bone-on-bone knee injury. And he tried to get back for the season. He couldn't get cleared. He failed the physical. The Patriots released his contract. He retired hours later. It's a sad sight to see because Edelman's probably one of the greatest Patriots to ever play, and he's a borderline Hall of Fame talent. He's the second, and statistically, he's the second best playoff wide receiver, and behind Jerry Rice. He's always there in the big moments. When you think about Julian Edelman, you think about the catch against Atlanta in the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 51, or getting his head blown off by Cam Chancellor in Super Bowl 49 and getting up and still running another 15 yards. But Yeah, we all kind of saw it coming. It still sucks to see. Edelman was one of my favorite players growing up, and wish him all the best in retirement. He joined the Inside the NFL panel, which I think is a good job for him. He's going into filmmaking. I don't know if you've watched his 100% documentary on Showtime.
No.
You should definitely tune into that. It talks about his return from the torn ACL in 2018. But yeah, the Patriots kind of have a hole at wide receiver that they didn't really address outside of Trey Nixon that late in the draft. You can't rely on wide receivers to break every time, even if you're Bill Belichick, and it happens for you every single time.
Yeah.
But,
so now, besides Brady, Gronk, and Edelman, who in your mind is the best Patriots player of all time?
Well, this is an interesting question because I was trying to split it into two, like my era of Patriots watching, which was from the beginning of the decade of the 2010s to now. I'd probably come up with something different than what I have on my screen here. But the best Patriot all time outside of Brady, Gronk, and Edelman. This guy is probably just right behind Brady on the all time list. But if you talk to the old guys, John Hanna, the offensive lineman. 9 Pro Bowls, 7 All-Pro first team selections, NFL Hall of Fame in '91. Hanna was called the Hog for a reason. He was just an amazing blocker. Nobody ever got off of him, and they set a Patriots record for the Patriots ran for a record 3,165 yards in 19. I want to say that that was 1978. Yep. The 1978, the Patriots team ran for 3,165 yards behind the John Hanna offensive line, and no individual Patriots running back had more than 700 something yards. Which, when you look at that and you say, well, there's 3,000 yards, that's almost an indictment about, or not an indictment, or maybe the indictment is the right word, about how good the offensive line was for the Patriots.
So before the Brady and Gronk and Edelman era, were the Patriots good before that?
They had 2 Super Bowl runs. In 1996, they lost to the Brett Favre Packers, and in 1985, they lost to the 15-1 to 85 Bears defense. I don't know if you've heard the stories about that. The Fridge playing fullback.
The Fridge, playing fullback.
But typically, the Patriots were kind of an afterthought in the NFL.
That was the Jim McMahon days of the Bears.
Yeah, Steve Grogan days for the Patriots. Yeah, or was it Tony Easton? I don't remember, but. Yeah,
I vaguely remember watching that Super Bowl. That was a long time ago. My parents would have been watching it, and I would have just been kind of in the room while it was on. But I remember it.
My stepdad talks about that Super Bowl all the time.
I'm pretty sure I remember the Fridge scored a touchdown. Did he not?
Yeah, playing fullback.
Yeah, buddy. That's right. I don't know how I remember that, but I can't remember what I did last week.
And I was trying to think of about the best Patriots players since my era from 2010 on. It's hard not to mention a guy like Vince Wilfork. It's hard not to mention a guy like Devin McCourty. Hard to not mention a guy like, Matthew Slater, special team ace, who's just been fantastic for us since he got here. Same year as Edelman did, that same draft class. But yeah, you probably have to go John Hanna all time just because of how elite of a offensive lineman he was. And the Patriots fans love him. That this is a guy who's going to get all the boomers excited, thinking about their childhood Patriots.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice there. So, have you been a Patriots fan your whole life?
I've had an interesting life arc. I didn't get into sports until I was in the third grade. I had played baseball growing up. I couldn't name you a single player on the Red Sox like that. But I had started playing football. The first football game that I actually cared about was Super Bowl 46 against the Giants. That's the second one we lost to. Second one we lost, right? 2011. I was almost 10 years old. But since then I've been following the Patriots pretty hardcore. 2012, I don't remember all that well because I was playing football as well, so I didn't get to catch all the games because for some reason we decided to play our games on Sunday too, as if the kids playing football weren't Patriots fans and wanted to stay home and watch Tom Brady just do his thing. And then 2013 I remember very well. 2014, the Super Bowl year, I remember very well. And then 2015, I started getting into sports writing, and all I would write about was the Patriots. I was a 13-year-old, and this guy, I'm not going to say his name because me and him aren't on good terms right now, or his website. But the first thing I wrote about was a Tom Brady contract extension or whatever was at the time in the 8th grade. And then I've been just kind of writing since then. But the Patriots have always been my first team. After that, it fluctuates between the Red Sox and Bruins. And then the Celtics usually come in last. But I'll watch come playoff time. Like, I can name a couple players on the Celtics. But yeah, I've been a Patriots fan since like 2011. My first jersey was a Tom Brady jersey that I wore to school just about every day in the 5th grade. But if you want to say my whole life since 10 years old, then I guess that would be accurate. But I wasn't into sports until about 10 years old. I lived with my dad's side of the family, and none of them were into sports really. Like, I played baseball, but that's because every kid played baseball.
Yeah.
Then I played football because I wanted to. I just figured out who Tom Brady was, and that was my guy. I wanted to be just like him. Unfortunately, I was the tall, lanky kid they put on offensive line who had no meat on his bones, couldn't block for anything. Pop Warner wasn't fun. I stopped playing after 7th grade. But
yeah, that 2011 great or Super Bowl. It's funny that you mentioned that because I recall watching that one as well, and I believe that's the one where that Giants player made the catch on his helmet, right?
No, that was 2007. 2011 was where Eli threw it to Mario Manningham on the sideline.
Okay.
Perfect on the sideline to the outside, and that was like just the greatest throw I've ever seen.
Okay, it was the 2007 one that I watched. Then.
Yeah, that was when we were undefeated, 16-0,
yeah.
17-0, 18-0 at that point, and then we dropped the 19th game. And Brady, like he said this week, he would trade 2 Super Bowl rings for the undefeated season.
Yeah, no kidding. That would have been quite a feat that only my Miami Dolphins have done. See, back when I was a football fan previously, I was a Dolphins fan up until Marino retired. When Marino retired without a ring, I was like, all right. Then I started getting into, starting a family, got married, had kids, and I kind of lost touch with football. And now I'm just getting back into it. So.
Yeah, you chose a good time to do it. The NFL is getting pretty interesting as they move out of this COVID period. Again, the Raiders, kind of weird, but I'm not a huge John Gruden guy. But I mean, you guys were almost in the playoffs last year, and maybe you'll make the playoffs this year. So
I'll just explain a little bit. So in 2017, my wife and I were in the crowd during the Vegas shooting.
Oh my!
That the following few months is when, or that same month actually is when the Vegas Golden Knights started.
Yep.
And we started watching their games because they had like tributes at the beginning of the season, and they did all that kind of stuff. And the first couple of games, they were unstoppable and they were amazing. So I became a Golden Knights fan. I'm a Flames fan first, Calgary Flames, and Golden Knights second. And then when the Raiders moved to Las Vegas, I was like, well, why not cheer for 2 Las Vegas teams? So that's basically why I'm a Raiders fan, but I'm kind of a general football fan. So
right.
Yeah.
No, the Raiders are an interesting follow. You never know what Gruden's going to do. And obviously they're on Hard Knocks a couple years ago. I think that might have been the last year they were in Oakland. They were on Hard Knocks. But
yeah, they didn't do too bad last season. Jacobs is
Josh
amazing
Jacobs,
to watch. Oh, Derek Carr, he's off and on. When he's on, though, he's on.
Oh yeah, buddy.
So you mentioned you're a Red Sox fan second to the Patriots.
Yep.
How are they doing this season? Are you following along at all?
I'm doing my best. It's hard to follow hard to follow baseball because it's 162 games. But
not only that, they play during the day.
Yeah.
How are we supposed to watch games when they're on during the day?
But yeah, I've watched most of not most of the Red Sox games. I probably watched about half of them. They've been a surprisingly good team. They don't have any pitching whatsoever. And no bullpen, and their lineup is basically what they're riding and dying on. And JD Martinez, Rafael Devers, Xander Bogaerts are all having fantastic seasons. Alex Verdugo has done an excellent job since the unfortunate trade of Mookie Betts, where there's still a soft spot here in Boston where we trade Mookie Betts for literally nothing. Obviously, we've enjoyed the Yankees' struggle. As you know, they were at the bottom of the division for quite a while, but now they've caught up. They're second place. I think they're a game behind us. It's crazy how that can happen in baseball, right?
I think everybody enjoyed the Yankees struggling.
But yeah, it's hard to imagine the Sox can keep up the kind of pace that they're on because of their shaky at best bullpen and incomplete rotation. We're probably not going to get our ace Chris Sale back until July, and he has just began throwing sessions on the mound because he had Tommy John last March, right before COVID hit. But yeah, it's hard to imagine that we'll be able to keep up with the Yankees just because of how talented they are top to bottom. And it seems like they've finally gotten it together. But yeah, the Red Sox have been red hot to start. They've kind of cooled off a little. They're still picking up wins. I think they beat the Tigers today. So we'll see how it goes come August, and we're looking at, who's going to be in the playoffs or not.
Have you been to a game at Fenway?
I've been to a couple. I went to like 4 David Ortiz's last year.
Oh, wow. That'd be great.
Yeah. And then I went to one in 2019, 2020. Obviously nobody was allowed to go. But yeah, I'm aiming to get back to Fenway at some point this summer. So baseball tickets are usually pretty cheap. So
yeah. Are you guys allowing fans back at games now, or
12% capacity and 12% capacity in TD Garden and in Fenway, and then the Patriots are hoping to have 100% come football season. And again, we'll just have to see how COVID plays out. Make sure everybody's safe before we can do that. I don't imagine we'll be at 100% by September. I think we still have some leaps to go as far as, just getting everybody vaccinated, getting everybody into a safe spot where we can do that comfortably. But it'll be interesting to see. And hopefully I can go see these Red Sox in person so I can figure out what kind of team they really are.
And you said you're a little bit of a Boston Bruins fan. Have you been to games there as well?
I went to the last Bruins home game before COVID hit, and that was my 18th birthday. But
so
yeah,
do you follow them a lot or not really?
I fall in and out of love with the Bruins. They're one of the more inconsistent teams in Boston. They've been pretty inconsistent all year this year, truthfully. They've been hampered with injury and COVID, and they're definitely missing the presence of Zdeno Chara, who obviously the Bruins didn't re-sign. He went to Washington, and they did clinch a playoff berth recently, but I don't see them being cup contenders this year. It's hard to imagine them taking on the likes of Tampa or Colorado, or because it's weird. This playoff year is weird now, right? Because you might have a Bruins, the Maple Leafs final cup. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, you probably know more about the Bruins than I do, which is a kind of an indictment on my Boston fandom here. But
I don't actually, because of the way the divisions are set up this year.
You just been following the Canadian teams, right?
All the Canadian teams are in the north, and those are the only games that I actually get on TV. So yeah,
there's ways around watching it on TV.
Yeah.
NHLBite.com. That's what I use.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go through great lengths to go watch other teams outside of Canada.
oh, trust me. Like if you go to NHLBite.com, right? It's free streaming. You click on whatever game you want to watch. You press that gold standard stream. Don't trust the platinum one. The platinum one's awful. You go to the gold standard one, and you press play. You pick which feed you want, home and away, at the bottom of the screen. And you might have like a 45-second delay, but the game is perfect quality.
Huh.
That's how I've been getting Red Sox and Bruins games, because Nesson got canceled on YouTube TV.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I've been doing it. But I don't know what you think about. I don't know what you think about the Bruins' long-term success, but I think their window is pretty much shut. They'll be solid contenders in the playoffs. They might make some noise and be a team that nobody wants to play against, but they're not going to be able to get it done. In a tough stretch against Tampa.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely missing Chara, and Tuukka Rask is kind of hit and miss because he's been injured off and on.
Bruins
But
fans
I
hate Tuukka
mean,
Rask for some reason. Like, they just blame Tuukka Rask for everything, and I hate it.
they're an offensive team, so I mean, they can definitely compete if Rask can stay healthy and play, as good as he should be. I think they stand a fairly good chance of going, at least to the semifinals, maybe possibly the conference finals if they're doing conferences. I don't even know how they're doing the playoffs this year. So
isn't it like
yeah.
a 12-team bracket or something?
Yeah, I'm thinking it'll still be it'll be 16 to start.
You'll probably have the 2 division teams play, right? Because there's 4 teams per division. You'll
Yeah,
probably have
well,
all the divisions play each other.
Yeah.
And then they'll just have to line up which division they want to put where, because it's 4 divisions, right?
Yeah, so within the divisions, I know 1 is going to play 4 and 2 is going to play 3.
And then they'll probably play the winners of those 2, right?
Yeah, I don't know how it works from there. I would assume they play the winners from there.
And then however they have the bracket set up, they'll play the next team.
But what I'm not sure is how once they come out of their division, then what division do they play next? Or if they're
right. I don't know if they've determined that yet.
Yeah. So, so not being a huge NHL fan, but I'm sure you've seen all the social media surrounding the Tom Wilson incident. What do you think of that? Are you sick of hearing that yet?
A lot of my friends are very big hockey people. Shout out to Ryan and Tristan. They're 2 of the biggest hockey heads I know. Tristan's a Red Wings fan. Ryan's a Blue Jackets fan. But yeah, Tom Wilson is just such a prick. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on your show, but he is such a prick.
Yeah, you absolutely are.
He basically ended our Artemi Panarin season. He ended our Artemi Panarin season. He ended the Rangers season, basically. And yeah, like I just don't get how he's still out in the league. I get it. I'm a Bruins fan. Like, you can point at me and talk about Marchand to me. But when's the last time Marchand tried to fracture somebody's skull on the ice?
Yeah.
Marchand's never done that.
Yeah. Two players' skulls.
Literally, right. And you ended the season. Like, the Rangers should have been pissed. And the president and the GM or whatever it was that got fired for calling out the NHLPA.
Yeah. And then the Rangers get fined.
They were right. They were telling the truth.
Yeah.
And like, I just don't understand how Tom Wilson's still out in this league. He's been doing dirty crap like this all the time. Yeah. And it's significantly worse than just, oh, well, hockey's going to be hockey. Like, this is like, barbaric. And, I'm not one to condone violence, but let me just say, I wouldn't have minded if somebody just took one for the team and drop kicked Tom Wilson.
The thing is, nobody on the Rangers team can fight Tom Wilson. He's a big dude, and he's a little crazy.
Yeah, for once, Zdeno Chara was on the wrong side.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Wilson's such a douche that Chara actually wants to fight him on a daily basis.
Oh, I'm sure. and he absolutely should. Chara should knock the teeth out of Tom Wilson. My God, he's probably my least favorite player in hockey besides Sidney Crosby. Just because he's probably worse than Crosby, because I'll give Crosby talent credit. He is talented. He's uber talented, but he's just kind of a prick. Tom Wilson is far less talented and an even bigger prick.
Yeah,
but
and I think he definitely may have some issues.
Oh yeah, I can't believe that his consequences was a $5,000 fine, no suspension.
Yeah.
I've seen like 4-game suspensions for less.
Mm-hmm.
You start an all-out war, a PR battle, and you have to pay $5,000. If this was in the NFL, this dude would be suspended for the year. Myles Garrett hit somebody over the head a couple years ago with his helmet. And,
I remember that.
And he got suspended for the year.
Yeah.
I don't know. The NHL player safety is such a joke. And I know it doesn't turn me away from hockey at all, because hockey is it's supposed to be a little bit more barbaric than the other sports. But I just can't understand how Tom Wilson continues to get away with these acts of almost terrorism on the ice.
Well, I mean, the head of player safety is a guy that used to get hit in the head quite often, so
Yeah, I can tell.
kind of explains a lot. So I guess what we'll do now. Oh, what's going on?
I don't know. I lost your camera.
You lost my camera, but you still have my voice?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Well, we'll see if the camera comes back. In the meantime, I'll just keep talking. I was just gonna end things anyway by just getting you to tell everybody about your podcast. So what's your podcast about? I'm guessing the Patriots mostly.
No, my podcast, the MC Hour, is covering all sports.
Okay.
Me and my team, Andrew, shout out to him if he's watching, Tristan, Brian. We meet up once a week and we talk about big happenings in sports, kind of like just how we did here, except you got to know me a little bit more than you do in the MC Hour. On my show, I just kind of assume everybody knows me. But yeah, we cover all of sports. We try to go once a week. Obviously, I didn't this week because I've been a little busy. We'll be back next week. I'd probably say my bigger there's your camera again. Nice to see
there
it.
we go.
I'd probably say my bigger platform right now that's getting a lot more attention is Foxborough Beat, my Patriots page. We just crossed 4,000 likes just after the draft.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of a big milestone for me because before I started Foxborough Beat, I was with another place that I'm not going to mention because I hate the boss's guts. And
they know who they are.
What?
They know who they are.
Yep. Yeah, I wish I didn't. But yeah, I had ran a New England Patriots page for them, and basically on my own, I garnered 5,000 likes and followers, basically by myself. And obviously, when I had to restart, I was really upset. But in almost half the time, I've garnered almost as much of a base as I had when I was there. So it's kind of a big thing for me. Foxborough Beat, we cover the Patriots. I'm trying to get my face on there a little more often, do a couple live streams, interact with whoever might be paying attention. But yeah, that's basically what I'm up to. And obviously the writing for Belly Up.
That's going well. You're killing Patriots it, man.
Beat, right? Yeah, I appreciate that. I don't know if you read my stuff, but
I actually am going to start reading a lot more of the NFL stuff now because I'm kind of getting back into NFL news and stuff like that. So I'll definitely be reading a lot more. And by the way, that tip you gave me about sharing my articles within Facebook groups has helped a lot. I've gone from like 17 to 20 views to over 300 per article now. So
you're doing better than me. Holy crap.
So yeah, it's definitely helping.
Maybe I need to start taking tips from you. My God. But yeah.
So yeah,
I've been writing since I was a kid, so it's just kind of comes natural to me.
That's good. Yeah. So I guess we'll finish off by letting everybody know what your socials are, where they can find you. I'm going to post them in the description anyway, but still give a shout out to yourself.
Yep. Obviously, Kaleb MC, you see it right there. That's my Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on Foxborough Beat. Like I said, that has a Facebook page, 4,000 likes and followers. I have a Twitter and an Instagram made. We haven't launched it yet, but if you want to go give that an early follow, you're more than welcome to. You can always find me on Belly Up Sports, writing about the Patriots because I'm the Patriots Beat. And obviously the MC Hour on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Go subscribe to that. There'll be an episode coming next week. We'll be going back to normal. And shout out to you for letting me be here. And hopefully I can make a return once football comes back. Yeah,
no worries. I'll definitely have you on some more.
I think the Raiders and the Patriots do play this year, if I'm not mistaken. They might.
Oh,
actually, no, wait. We have the Chargers. That's right. You guys finished second in your division. Yeah, we get the Chargers. If you guys were like, if we were like a couple games better, if you guys were a couple games worse, we would have had you guys. But we'll see. Maybe come postseason if we're both good enough. So
yeah, let's hope we get there. I'm just hoping for Rodgers.
Yeah, the Broncos fans too. And personally, I want him to go to you guys. So to just take that for whatever it's worth.
Yeah, hopefully we can meet up in the playoffs.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, man. Well, take care. I will let you go enjoy the rest of your evening.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
coming
Good time.
on.
Good time.
Rattle the glass, kick some ass, kick some ass, rattle the cage, turn the page. Gonna sweat, we're gonna work, we're gonna burn, it's gonna hurt, we're gonna fight, we're gonna score, we're gonna win, we are going to war. Rattle the glass, kick some ass.